I tried to get him to take 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it never happens that way.
Yep. We blow by the article.
No, he got it.
Get to work. Post poop require.
Okay, so we've got the track going, and the dog's doing actually halfway decent. It's a decent track. He's working, but his intensity level's kind of low. I would prefer to have a little bit more interest in the track, and this is important because I think for him the value is not really all there. You know, of course he gets a reward. Of course you want him to do it, but what I'm seeing is a dog that's working, but he just doesn't have that huge desire to do it. So we have some options that we can use to really build that desire and make him a little bit stronger. And the next time we get together, I'm going to help you with that. So this is your first, what we call far alert, okay? It doesn't last for very long because he has to go back to the track. And that's the indication that you're in a far alert because the dog does go back to the track. A far alert is when you just get a little puff of wind, a little bit of air scent that goes away, and then the intensity of the dog starts to go away, and then they eventually get back on the track. This is called a far alert. Now the far alerts can be very far away if the wind is in your face, hundreds and hundreds of yards. And if the wind is at your back, they can, of course, be much closer, so you have to take that into consideration. But this is your first alert. It's not really close enough at this point to do any tactical movement. And as we spoke about earlier, I probably wouldn't do a call out here because the only thing you're doing this short into the track is letting the bad guy know that you're coming, which gives him the opportunity to run further and create havoc perhaps out there with our citizenry. And we don't want that to happen. So try to practice stealth and remember that you can do your announcement later on with a little bit better alert. Now, one of the things I want you to take in consideration, because you just made that announcement, you actually fired him up a little bit, and when he drives out here, once you let him go, I don't really think that this is an air scent or a track. I just think that this is because of your announcement, so he gets really interested. It's important to understand that because sometimes we can not differentiate properly, bounce team members out there because of this, when really what we need to do is just let him get back on that track.
Leave it. Get to work.
Now this, on the other hand, is a little bit more of a far alert. Not much, just a little puff of wind, but it's enough to get him back going again.
Start looking. Sheriff's Office K9, make yourself known now, give up.
So good call. You definitely saw the proximity alert, but again, I wouldn't make it an announcement here because you're not close enough and you can actually force a confrontation with this guy somehow because you let him know that you're coming. It's better to just wait. And if you're going to make an announcement, do it when you're stopped behind cover and concealment on a knee or in the prone position. Standing up in the middle is really a bad tactical decision. You have to remember that you're creating muscle memory when you train, and if you don't do everything you're supposed to do in training, you're going to do that same movement or exercise when you're in a real case under stress, okay? Super, super important to remember. Now, one of the things that's happened is he's deviated from the air scent picture, from the track picture, and now this is all pretty much air scent. He's driving into the air scent. He's not really tracking that much. This is primarily a scent picture that's on the wind. And you can tell by his behavior and also by the map when you look at it at the end of the track. so one of the things that's going to help with these near alerts is if we can increase the value of the track quite a bit for your dog. And there's a lot of ways we can do that. But the biggest way is just making sure you have a body at the end of the track when you practice. By always practicing with a toy or mostly practicing with a toy, the value is super, super low. It's very anticlimactic for the dog. On the other hand, this is a lot more important. When they realize that they have somebody there to do something with, their intensity level really comes up. I don't know if you noticed it, but when he got to that bush, he's looking for something, but he should have been looking for a human, and it took him really a while to register that Christine was right there. This is because you're tracking into a toy in most of your training. I highly recommend you stop that, because air scent is a big part of real life cases. As a matter of fact, it's 50%, especially in an urban environment. And if you have a dog that reacts poorly to air scent or has trouble with scent pools, you're going to lose a lot of tracks, but you're also going to risk your life a lot more when you get in the middle of that air scent picture. So you have to take the toys out of the tracking training. Honestly, it's really horrible for the dog and for you from an officer safety standpoint. Okay, so let's look at the proximity alerts in detail. At the top right of the corner at 147 yards, you had your first alert. At 138 yards, you had another far alert. And at 138 yards, this is where you began to work the air scent directly. And at 100 yards, you transition to the near alert. This is when you're in air scent the whole way, and the dog has an air scent picture from beginning to end. Okay, and then at the bottom, you're probably less than 30 yards away from your subject when you were shot and killed. Really important to understand the dynamics of this proximity alert and how subtle they can be, and if you're not really paying attention to the dog, how quickly and easily it can be to be overwhelmed by the situation. Now, I addressed the fact that you really need to make the value of the track a little bit higher. The air scent has to be something that the dog really reacts to strongly, so you can read it well and make good decisions in a timely fashion. If you don't practice a lot of air scents on the track, that's just never going to happen, and you're going to blunder into these ambushes relatively easily. He needs to understand that when he's close, he really needs to react well. And the only way that's going to happen is if you have a subject at the end of the track doing something that he's really interested in, which is an aggressive maneuver, shooting at you, doing something aggressively, running, whatever it takes. If you have that at the end of a track, the value is going to be increased. Consequently, his reactions are going to be increased, and you're going to be able to read them better and stay safer.